Yo, how's everyone doing? Happy race day, happy afternoon, evening for some, I guess, if you're out on the East Coast. Yep. Dane, how are you?
Going good. I'm doing well. It's been a fun weekend so far, ready to get some NASCAR action to cap it off.
Oh, I've missed both of the first two races, traveling and watching golf, so I'm really pumped for this race and was super happy that, when I was seeing when the provincial golf was coming up, I was really excited to see that this race was Sunday night and not like Sunday morning because I got home late last night and give me time to get NFL going and baseball today. It's been a hectic day, so it's going to be nice to sit down and watch this race. First race of the second round, mind you, takes us to Vegas for this night race. I believe the first race at Vegas when they made it a two race back in 2018, it was extremely hot. They tried doing it at like 2 or 1 in the afternoon Eastern time. Or local time, sorry, and that was insane. So it's been a night race ever since, and it's been awesome. First thoughts here, I'm just going to bring up here and share the screen. We'll look at the playoff grid and who's in here, and these are ranked by driver in terms of standings coming into the second round. Leading things off, of course, we got Kyle Larson, Truex, Hamlin, Blaney, then Kyle Busch, Elliott, Bowman, Byron, and then sitting outside the bubble to start the second round, Logano, Kozlowski, Bell, and Harvick last. So moving in here, I guess, looking at the DFS pricing for this week, what is your kind of strategy for Vegas? What's the first thing that stands out to you?
Well, the first thing that stands out is the top of the pricing and obviously Kyle Larson. But for track strategy, I think we're looking 2 to 3 dominators is kind of what we've seen recently here. And a lot of those dominator points is going to come through fastest laps, I think, as well. That's something that we can't forget because we could get into a situation where somebody, maybe Kyle Larson, leads a lot of this race. And some of the fastest laps, though, are not from him and could come through the field and could have a potential of getting some of those dominator points without leading laps.
Yeah, for sure. And, the first thing that stands out to me is we're building around Kyle Larson tonight. It's either feels like one of those races where you're either all in or all out, playing the very contrarian. I mean, it can definitely work. It's going to be super contrarian because I believe he's going to be really high on. First of all, he's starting from the pole. He won the race here in the spring. And then we go and look at this 550 horsepower package, which is what they are running here tonight at Vegas. And right at the top in terms of average run position is Kyle Larson. Third in this last race at Michigan. But what stands out to me right here is the dominator points. 921 laps led in those 9 races. So that's an average of 100 laps per race. No one else. William Byron has 201, but he'll be starting from the rear. So he has like 720 more laps led than any other driver on these 550 horsepower package this year and has the best average run. DK points obviously correlates with that laps led for sure. So I'm going to be building around him. And right now, just in my matrix here, I've got him set for 100, but I could definitely see him getting upwards of that 150 to 200. And then, like you said, looking at fast laps, I'm going about 50% of, if you're putting someone down for projecting laps led, I like going about 50% at this race for fast laps. So Kyle Larson, I got him for 100 to start with, 50 laps led. It gives you 92.5 points. And looking at the perfect lineup from the spring here, Kyle Larson was in there at 9,400, so his price has obviously gone up big time since that race. But he made up 27%, leading. How many laps did he lead in that race? Let's go check that out here real quick. 103 laps, 57. So very similar to what we've seen here. He had 94 points, and he made up 27% of your total lineups. And that was about just over 7x. It's going to take to probably win a GPP, and you're going to need about 6x to cash comfortably, and I think for cash games, right in that 5x range, I think is going to be there. So I am building almost all my lineups around Larson. I think actually I'm only going one. What I meant was if you're going all year, I think you said you're doing like your 20 max and the 3 max and some single entries and stuff. Is Larson like 100% for you tonight?
Yeah, he is. And I think this is something, or I've definitely talked about this before on the show, and I think lineup construction and things like that are things that we do different than other places that help a lot of our members out and people that just listen to the show. I don't see a reason to go the field with Kyle Larson here. I just think you're thinning out your lineups way too much. If you lock him in, which I've done quite a bit this year, you're definitely getting over the field. Sometimes he only comes in 50, 60. I know that's high, but 50, 60% on. Well, if you're just locking him in, you're right there, doubling what the field has. And that's just, in my eyes, is the way to go today. He's starting on the pole, dominated here earlier this year, has had, like you said, the best car. Everything points to Kyle Larson here.
Yeah.
So,
and he's not that much more than Kyle Busch. He's only 300 more. Usually these races like this, we see a gap of like $500 to $1,000.
Yeah, I just don't. There's enough. You don't have to go with his price. You don't have to go in the dumpster to find to get 2 dominators or something like that in. You can finish out in the mid range with some of the builds that I've done. So I just don't see any argument that's going to sway me away from Kyle Larson at all today. If you're not playing him, it's literally the only reason is to be different and hope he has a problem, and I'm not going to bank on that.
Okay, if that's what we're going to, we're kind of both in agreement there to start off the show, so that's good to see. It's been a while since we've talked some NASCAR, so I love seeing that. After Kyle Larson, I know the first thing I did was kind of look for that secondary driver that I want. I kind of, instead of going down to that range, I really wanted to find out with Kyle Larson as my core how much I can push it with 2 or 3 of these top guys, let's just say 8K and up, and it actually worked out quite well. So after Kyle Larson, what's kind of your game plan?
Yeah, so it's definitely finding that second dominator, and the 2 that I have prioritized is Chase Elliott and Kyle Busch right behind him. Both of those are starting 10th and 11th, which gives them just a little bit of place differential built in that will help them if they can finish in the top 3 or 4. It helps them not need as many dominator points at that price. Both of those are, I know we can touch on the deal with Harvick and Chase because I'm sure we'll get some questions about that as we go, but I'm personally not worried about it at all. I think those 2 are going to be the top 2 secondary dominators for me for sure. We kind of talked before we came on about Chase. I think you're off of him. It looks like he's gaining a little bit of momentum with that car. I know this entire team has crushed on this type of with this package this year. I think he's got a little unlucky at Vegas in the past. He had a good average run. He's led some laps earlier this year here. So Chase would be number 2 for me, and then Kyle Busch would be number 3.
All right. I know for me personally, I'm going to start with the picks that I'm going with after Larson and how I'm constructing my lineup. So right now, I've got Ryan Blaney. I know Eric Jones just asked about him in chat, and I do like pairing Blaney with Larson. He's starting second. I'm not expecting Blaney to get, be the top dominator, but he would be like one of my second. He's been super consistent here. He's like a top 5 machine. He hasn't gone inside that 5th place finish yet, but if we go look at Matrix here, I had him down for about 50 laps. Led. I think he can get to that total somewhere in there. I think that would be his ceiling in terms of laps led, but I give him 20 fast laps in there as well, and that gets him easily over that 6X. So the way I looked at it this week in looking at previous Vegas races, we're usually seeing like 350 to 375 points as like the top lineups, and usually in that 300 to 350 range is going to be, cashing comfortably. So after Kyle Larson, if you figure he's going to get that top dominator, we only need about 5 to 6X from our other drivers. So Blaney easily gets there. If he gets up there in that dominator range, he's going to be in those top lineups. And I just really like that 91 price tag. And then we go look at that 550 package here. He's got 2 wins, including this last one at Michigan. And the other one was, I'll just slide over here, was the Atlanta. So he's got 1 on the 1.5 miles here as well. He's got the 6th best average finish at 9.6, 10.7 average run. So I really do like Blaney, and I am just looking at Elliott's numbers here. They've just been really underwhelming with this 550 package. No wins, only 2 top 5s, only 4 top 10s out of those 9 races, so not even a 50% top 10 rate here. with these 550 package, and just the average run is a little bit better than his average finish, but it's just been underwhelming. And at his price, we need more than these 8s and 7ths and 12ths. We had a Kansas and Charlotte run in here. He had a couple back-to-back top 5s, but other than that, it's been very, very underwhelming. So just the rate of success for him on this 550 package just has me a little bit underweight. I'm, like I said, only going one lineup today, so I will be not on Elliott in that one lineup, obviously, because I do like going with Kyle Larson, pairing him with Blaney. And then the other driver that really stands out to me is Brad Kozlowski. He's been even better than Elliott here. He's starting 8th. He's finished ahead of that in 9 of his last 10 races here. He's got a win in 2018 in the playoffs as well. Was that one in the playoffs, that first Vegas race? Yes, it led off the playoffs that year. And then second earlier this year. I really like Kozlowski. So right now, I'm just going to plug that in. And then this is kind of the way my brain was working when I did my picks today. I went with Larson when I went through that discussion in my head like we've gone over. And then I went to my secondary plays. And then with that core of 3 drivers right there, it left me with 7,000. And like you said, that seems like being able to get 3 drivers, 8,500 or more, plus the top guy. I didn't think it would be possible without having to go dumpster diving down in the 5K range, and we don't have to do that. So this is my main core as of today, obviously as of today, as of this hour. So that's the way I'm going. How do you feel about this next range down? For anyone just tuning in, Truex and Byron are going to the rear inspection issues. So in this range, let's just say under 10K, how are you kind of dealing with that 8 to 10K range? Because I know with my 3-driver core, I'm now going down into that mid-7 and 6K range after that.
Yeah, so initially, before Byron was going to the rear, he was going to be one of the top guys for me as the second dominator. I would have liked him more than Blaney and Kozlowski in that range. But now going to the rear, I'm still going to keep a little exposure to him just in case he does get back up there, gets a lot of fast laps coming through the field or something. And he is only 8,900. But overall, I'll definitely have more exposure to Kozlowski. He would be number 1 for me in that range. Like you said, he's crushed here in the past. He's 8,700. I think he's a very good play. And Blaney is also a good play if you think he can stay up front, get some fast laps, finish in the top 3 or 4. He could definitely lead here as well. And what I really liked about the 3 when it was Byron included was that all of those are in that low or upper 8 to low 9K range, which gives you a lot of a price discount. So you don't have to go down to guys like Haley, Alfredo, McDowell. You don't have to finish in that range if you didn't want to. Whereas if you do go up and try to jam, if you tried to jam 3 of Chase and Kyle or Hamlin in there, you would have to dumpster dive completely. But you'll definitely have to take some more value on than the core that you're going. Yeah.
And after that, I guess I'll just transition right into that, like kind of what I'm looking at in the range that I'm looking at next. Because of that core, like I said, I have an average of 7,033 on DraftKings. It sends me down to this range. I'm just going to bring it up over here on the sheet. Kind of in that 7K down. And what I like here is Ryan Preece stands out. Starting 24, 6,300, top 20s in back-to-back races here, including the playoffs last year. If we go break that down here, we're looking for about 4 to 5X from these guys if we're going down here, especially if we expect Larson and Blaney or the 2 guys that you pick in this top range. So say Larson, just kind of give you some upside here, 150, and I'll go Blaney. That gives us 200 of the 267 laps. If you're going that way, we're definitely only going to need 4 to 5X from these guys down here. So that is for Preece, 25 to 32 points. And that puts us kind of in that range. Oh, boy. I have to find it here. So we are in the range of like a 21st to 17th, 18th. I think that's totally doable. He's done that in the last 2 races here in that range. So I definitely like that. And then, like you said, McDowell, you mentioned him, starting 23rd. Probably my 2 favorite are actually down here. Briscoe, really good equipment. You know, he's definitely in the best equipment of these cars that are down here in this range. So I definitely like that. You can look at the FanDuel prices way out, so I won't be playing him much on FanDuel. But the price on DraftKings at 6K. He finished 21st in his first race here in the Cup car. earlier this year, 19th, and we go look at the – oh, there's a driver. Okay, I know who I'm talking about next. So 11th and 15th in his last two races here. So he's kind of shown that 10th to 15th upside with his 550 package. So definitely like Briscoe and McDowell here. He's been actually a little bit more consistent than McDowell, but I do like both in that range. And then we go up just a little bit here. I think Chris Buescher is massively underpriced. I think he should be probably in the 8 to mid 8K range. So it feels like a lot of value with him starting 25th. He's finished ahead of that. And what do we got here? 8 straight races, top 15s in 3 straight, and top 15s in 5 of his last 7. I definitely like that. Chris Buescher is definitely going to be a core play for me. He's just over that average. So I'm giving you pretty much my whole cash game lineup here right now. That's just about as far as I'll go here. Larson, Blaney, Kozlowski, Buescher, and it leaves you 6,900. So then you can go grab 2 of these guys down here. You can go dumpster dive if you want, down into this Haley, Alfredo, McDowell range or Briscoe, and then you can kind of jump up and go a little bit higher up, or else you can kind of grab 2 around here. So what kind of value, I guess, rankings do you have down in this range?
Yeah, so you mentioned Buescher. He's the guy that I have second most exposure to behind Kyle Larson today at 7,300. Like you said, is just obscene in my eyes. So starting 25th. So Buescher would definitely be my favorite value play. I'm going to get down to that dumpster diving range, and you're going to have to talk me into the decision between Alfredo and Haley. As of now, I don't have much of either, but I do want to split between those. I think 20% between the two and 10% each, I think, in my 20 max is what I'm doing. The last thing, the one thing you mentioned about Briscoe, 2 things with him. One, I don't know, I'll let you answer. Are you worried at all about this deal of him getting there late because he's on baby watch and all this? I lean towards no, that once he's in the car, it doesn't really matter. But
yeah,
it's affected in this week. I would expect. Obviously, they don't have any practice or anything, so he's not missing any of that.
No.
The other thing is, when I looked back earlier this year for him at Vegas, it looked like he had an average run in like the high 20s, and then somehow he finished like, was it 17th or something that you said? But somehow, I don't know why he had an average run of, I don't remember the race and haven't dug completely into it, but I think he ran around 25th and then finished 17th. So I don't know about that for sure. But that
Briscoe, you said, right?
Yeah.
20. He averaged on a 24th and finished 21st.
Maybe I was thinking of somebody else.
McDowell was 17th, but he had an average on of 18th, so that was pretty fair.
Right.
It's close for me between Alfredo and Haley. It was just kind of I don't really know what has me on Haley a little bit over Alfredo. I do like both, especially, if you are multi-entering, I'm probably going to be I'm not going to be. I'm on one lineup, but if I was doing my 20 max today, I'd probably have, equal amounts of both, like probably 3 of each kind of thing, or 4 of one, 3 of the other kind of thing like that. Maybe a couple times I would have them paired together just to go with the superstars and scrubs. But I just personally don't think you need to do that today. So I would be split if you're multi-entering on those 2. And I like McDowell and Briscoe a little bit more. So I would probably have a little bit more Briscoe and McDowell, say, if you're multi-entry, maybe 4 of each of those guys, and then I would probably be in that 2 to 3 range with Alfredo and Haley, to be honest with you. And I know the starting position isn't the same here, but I do feel that Briscoe and McDowell have much more upside, even with their starting positions. So.
Yeah, so for the record, I don't like either one of them, Alfredo or Haley, but I do think they're kind of necessary if you want to jam in some of these top guys. So I think Alfredo is just – I have this mental block in my head that I can't go below Alfredo for some reason, but I think I need to – I'm definitely going to mix in Haley. Initially, I had Alfredo in 4 of 20, and I'm going to mix in – split that in 2s with each of those. And then the last guy that I'll mention in the value range is back up a little bit to Stenhouse. I think he's a very good play. I know Eric had mentioned him in the chat. I actually have a lot of exposure to Ricky Stenhouse today as a value play. And it's weird because I've fell into this quite a few times, I think, this year. But if you're like me and have had a lot of exposure and been keeping up with him. It feels like near the end of these races, he has quite a bit of speed if he can get to the end of these races. And it just always feels like he's moving forward. Like last week, he got stuck a lap down at one point in that race, and he was kind of just fighting to get back up. He ended up doing decent, getting in the top 20. But I think just the way he's ran here in the past, we know he's got upside. So he'll be a very nice play, or very highly exposed play for me at sub 7K.
I want to get your feel, and I'll talk about him first here, but after I'm done, I want to get your feel of kind of like what an ownership projection or how popular do you think he's going to be is Eric Jones. I thought about it. I looked at the top 10s in back-to-back races here. Last playoffs, he finished 8th. This is all in the same equipment is why I'm asking. 10th earlier this year. Starting 16th is just seems a little bit – it doesn't seem so bad with those recent results. Now, what I don't like, and I'm going to get into here, first of all, is that last race. He finished 10th, but he had an average run of 17th, so that's 7 spots. That stands out to me right away. And then I went and looked at the 550 horsepower package. After that Las Vegas race with this 550 horsepower in that 43 car, he's finished 24th, 25th, 16th, 22nd, 31st, 24th, 18th. He's been nowhere close to that top 10 in this package. So for me, just because of these other guys that we talked about and I like a lot more, and he just kind of gets sandwiched in between all these guys. I won't have him in my one lineup, and honestly, if I was doing 20 max, I wouldn't probably have any of them just because of that information.
Yeah, I X'd him out as well. So I don't have any of them. Like you said, I don't. If I would maybe consider him if he was starting like 25th or something, but starting 16th, I won't have any of them. I
think he takes some ownership though because of those previous top 10s. I just don't like. I just don't like. I'm going to go look at this last race here. As I looked at that one, let's go look at Eric Jones here. So he finished 8th and average run of 15. So both times his average run was considerably worse than his finish position. That tells me that he got fairly lucky in those races, either avoiding crashes with some better cars that are finishing behind him type thing. But seeing that in 2 races in a row at a track where he's normally outside the top 20, even in the Gibbs equipment, he wasn't consistent and outside the top 20. So that seeing that, and he's not in the same equipment as some of these other guys. I feel that he's been overperforming in the 550 package, especially, and at Vegas here recently. So I won't be on him because I do feel he's going to take on some ownership. So I do like fading him for that reason.
Yeah, so Andre asked in the chat, what are our thoughts on Alex Bowman? I know we kind of glossed over him in that range with and another guy that I do have some exposure to right above him with Christopher Bell. So those two I kind of lumped together as similar plays. I do have some exposure to Alex Bowman. Let me see how much I actually ended up with. Looks like I have. And because the reason is because I really like Hendrick today, so I obviously had to have some exposure to him. I ended up with 22% across the lineups that I made, so a decent chunk of exposure. I still do have more Kozlowski, and I ended up with Bell at 13%, so I have a little less of him.
Okay.
But I do like both of those as maybe not a dominator, but they could get some fastest laps in there. And that price, both are sub 8,500 and very good equipment for both of them. So I do like them as well.
Quick one here. Thought on Larson. We're both all in pretty much on Larson. We went over that at the start of the show, just about how he won the race here last time. He's in the pole position, projecting him for like 100 to 150 laps led, and pretty much building all of our lineups kind of centering it around Larson himself. So we're both all in on Larson.
Doing it wrong if you're not playing Larson yet.
I like what I really found is I like Hendrick. I like Larson a lot. It's after Larson that I'm just finding it tough, especially with Byron going to the rear. I was kind of thinking about maybe using him as a low-owned guy with Kozlowski and Blaney, who I think are going to take on some ownership. I think Kurt Busch will probably take on some ownership starting 20th. He won here last fall. As you can tell, he's not been super consistent here at all, but he does have that upside, and he is starting 20th. He gives you the most place differential of all these guys in this 8K and up range. Even the mid 7K is down So that's why his price is up in the 9,500 range, which makes it a lot tougher. So he's GPP only for me. But Bell and Bowman, Bowman starting 7th. He has finished there before at this track, so I can definitely see it. He's going to be low owned. I'm kind of with you where I'd be in that 10 to 15% range GPP pivots off of Kozlowski and Blaney if I was doing multi-entry. I won't get too much in it because I am only playing one single lineup and I am on those other 2 guys. Someone we didn't talk about in the upper tier, if I was personally going to do one lineup and play the crazy route and fade Larson, I think what I would probably end up doing is going Kyle Busch and Hamlin, or at least trying to get Hamlin. He's like my second favorite guy in this top tier, starting 6, back-to-back top 5s at this track, and going and looking at, he hasn't got a win, obviously, at these with his 550 package, but he's got a really good average run, and he's been coming on near the end of the season. So I definitely like him as kind of my second guy, but I am on Larson. So, all right, so we got is Yaley, are you on? Oh, Matty D. Liz asks Matty D. Yaley, I'm not on Yaley. We both talked about we're really not going below that Alfredo Haley line. That's something, like you said, it's like a mental block. It's something that we've kind of had there all years. We just don't really go down and punt in that range. We just don't see it a lot in those winning lineups, seeing those guys down there. So no Yaley. Now to Liz, Matty D. I'll let you go. I am not on Matty D. I want to know if you have any exposure in your multi-entries.
I have 9%. I have him in 2 lineups, it looks like. So not very much exposure at all to him. I think he's a fine play. I wish, except for the fact of where he's priced. I know he's been good here. I know that this team seems to be pretty good here in the past as well. But I just can't get much behind him with really where he's sandwiched in pricing. If he was in the upper 7s, if he was where it swapped places with Tyler Reddick, I think I would have a little more at 400 or 500 discount, or even down in that Newman range, I would have way more. But with where I think he finishes is probably 12th, 13th. Sure, that's fine, but not with really the people that are just above him that I think have way more upside.
And then from James, who is the best in the 550 package this year? So I'm going to bring up that tab on the sheet, and I did update that, so you can go check that out, the 2021 550 package. Got all 9 races here you can go check out, as well as the details here. So in terms of wins, we've got Kyle Busch, Larson, and Ryan Blaney. Each have 2 wins with the 550 package. Byron, Bowman, and Kurt Busch each have a win as well. But in terms of consistency, Kyle Busch has an average finish of 3.8, which is almost 3 full spots better than Larson. Larson has a better average running position. Obviously, Larson has been better in terms of dominator. He's led 921 laps. That's an average over 100 per race. That's why his average DK is a lot higher. Now, on FanDuel, where laps led, the dominator points aren't worth as much. See, as you can tell here, 71.7 over 70, it's really not that big a difference. So I kind of put Kyle Busch and Kyle Larson kind of in that same zone. And the reason Kyle Busch is kind of up there in terms of that FanDuel, he gets a little bit of that place differential. He started outside the top 10 on average, outside the 13th, actually. So William Byron's been very good. Denny Hamlin's been very good at this package as well. So this is kind of that list. You can go check that out over on the sheet here. It's in purple as well. I just added it today. And then Priest or LaJoy, it's Priest for me. I talked about Priest. He's one of my favorite plays down here in this range, starting 24th, 15th earlier this year, 19th in the playoffs. How about for you? Are you anything on LaJoy?
I have those, I think, right now very similar, but I do give the lean like in a single entry type build to Priest for sure. Like I said, that was the range that I was having a lot of trouble with earlier. Mm-hmm. I have 17% LaJoy and 30% Priest, so definitely have double what I have on LaJoy.
And I would be right kind of in that same with you, probably even a little bit more Priest and a little bit less LaJoy. I just don't like LaJoy's consistency here. It's just he doesn't finish ahead of his starting spot very often whatsoever. Even not just looking at his Las Vegas, but also looking at like his 550 package stuff. So that's kind of where I am in that range as well, is Priest over LaJoy. Couple of prize picks plays that I'm looking at for tonight. Now, remember for the NFL, I believe I'm just going to bring up my chat over on the other screen here. There's something I wanted to find. I had posted earlier, they have a flash sale today for prize picks, and there is one for the night game. I just have to find it. Of course, I have to scroll up forever. All right, so the Aaron Rodgers discount tonight. So you're going to find the Aaron Rodgers probably gets 20 or 30 yards on his passing prop as a discount tonight, so that would work out nice. So I like pairing that if you want to get in some of those prize picks plays in there. Now, some of the one I like for NASCAR, I like Kozlowski. He needs a top 10. Now, keep in mind with Dominator points, every 50 laps led is going to give you a half a point, so that's going to change that over-under for you a little bit. So let's just say Larson leads 100 laps. Instead of needing a top 4 out of him, if you bet the under, you would need like a top 5. It's going to move you one spot differential there. So what I like, obviously, I like Larson. I think he's going to lead 100 laps, so a top 5 out of him seems like a really easy bet. If nothing happens, I think he's a lock for a top 5. He's probably like a minus 200. I don't have top 5 odds. Do you have any top 5 odds in front of you, like DK Sportsbook or anything like that? I'm just wondering what his top 5 number would be. I'm thinking to be like minus 200, minus 150, something like that. So I definitely like that. Brad Kozlowski, top 10. I think that would be a good betting number as well. So I do like that on PrizePicks, 10.5. If you want to get risky, I do like Tyler Reddick. I haven't talked about him for DFS yet, but I definitely like Tyler Reddick starting 13th. He has been the reason why. It's not because of his track history, that's for sure. 22nd, 38th, and 18th here at Vegas. He has gotten a lot better on these 550 packages the season has gone on, especially when we're looking at the mile and a half. So 6th, 9th at Charlotte, 7th at Kansas, Atlanta 26. So Vegas and Atlanta weren't very good, but after that, he's given you 3 top 10s on the mile and a half with the 550 package. So I definitely like that. I think he's going to be low owned. I've kind of got him projected for like 9th to 12th place. So that I definitely like that for him for prize picks as well. Probably more as a 3rd or 4th, even like a 5th pick, because I really do like Larson and Kozlowski. Those would be my top 2 as of now. And one more that kind of stands out a little bit would be Denny Hamlin needing a 6th or better here. Is another one that I like. So those are some prize picks. Liz wants to know, we haven't talked about Joey Logano at all. He'd be a GPP pivot for me starting 9th here. He finished there in the spring. He's won here twice in the last 5 races, both in the spring. Do you have any interest in Logano or any exposure in your multi-entry?
No, I have zero. I just couldn't get there with the other guys that I liked. I really have stayed away from Logano much of the year.
Something I like doing is just kind of what is working out for us. I know with your core here for your multi-entry, I know this feels like this is how it's working out for you, and this is how I do it when I multi-enter, is I'm more spread out on the, let's say, mid-range down to value range. I'll have a lot more not exposure to – well, I guess there's probably more exposure to different guys, but less exposure to them in that bottom range, whereas my upper range is where I really make my stands and try and get, 3 or 4 drivers in my core if I'm doing, let's say, mid 8K and up. I really want to nail down 3 or 4 drivers and to have at least, 20, 30% more than the field on those specific drivers. So I don't really try and get a whole bunch of exposure to a bunch of drivers in that top tier. So that always happens to me. As nailing it down is tough when you do that, because a driver like Joey Logano can be very good here. You might get him lower owned as well, and he could be in that winning lineup. It just comes down to me being very high on Larson, Hamlin, and then coming down to Blaney, Kozlowski is why I wouldn't have Logano in mind, because of that strategy that I talked about. Is that kind of the same way you look at the top tier versus spreading it out in the bottom tier?
Yeah, for sure. That's exactly how I look at it. Matt had also asked about Newman. I think you have some interest in him from looking at the highlights, but I actually don't have a lot. I think I have 13% across my lineup, so that's only 3 out of 23 or 4 lineups. I think I did single entry 3 max and 20 max. With him, the problem is, I think where he's priced, I just 7,500. He's been a 20th place car, it seems, for much of the year. And I know he starts 29th, but 20th is not going to get it done with where he's starting, in my eyes.
See, this is the one I said before the show, before I hit the live button. I said I'm pretty locked on my picks right now. I said, but there's probably going to be one guy that you convince me on, and it's usually someone you get me get my exposure onto, and this is kind of a case where I'm maybe going to go off. So I was on Newman originally. I love the starting 29th. I love his track history. He's finished ahead of that 29th and top 20s, actually, in 8 of his last 9 races here at Vegas. But it's the form coming in that I don't like now. You have me looking at this 550 package that I added here. 24th, 28th, 22nd, 37th, 27th. Those are his last races on this package. And like you said, a 20th isn't going to get you there. So now if we go look, 29, so we kind of need that 30 to 37 and a half, and that is you're scraping the bottom of the bin at 21st. I can get away with the 21st out of them, but we're really, if you want to be in the winning lineup in terms of GPP, so for cash games, fine. I'm probably not going to get off for cash games. I think that is solid when you only need a 21st, because I think he kind of gives you that 18th to 21st floor. I think that's kind of where he sits. It's just the upside I don't really see for GPP, and that's where I would go to Busher in that range. But for cash games, I do like Newman, but again, like I said, for GPPs, I'm going to be a little bit less on him. So on the highlights, I'm actually going to switch that up and give it a little purple. First purple play today. So thanks for bringing that up.
The other day with soccer, I was like, I'm not used to putting purple on here, but I did with one play.
It's my favorite color. Thanks, James. Really appreciate it. Good luck to everyone as well.
Yeah, last week, I know you did a show last week, but I was able to get out to Bristol for the race. It was an awesome experience. But what I wanted to mention was I was able to meet Eric, so that was nice. That was the first member that I was able to meet, Eric Jones, here in the chat. Nice to meet him. It was good to be able to do that with what's all went on over the last year and a half. So it was nice to meet him. Yeah, it won't be the last, hopefully. As we keep getting out to more of these races, I think I'll be at Martinsville here in a few weeks, I guess, coming up at the end of October. It's probably the only one I'll get to the rest of this year. But, if any of you guys are at any of these races, be sure to let us know, and we could be there.
Yeah, okay. So speaking of being at races, if any of you guys are in Estevan, Saskatchewan here, towards the end of the summer, fall, I'm going to be going to a couple dirt races there. So if you want to meet up. Now, Estevan, Saskatchewan, you're going to have to Google it. It's in the middle of effing nowhere, and you're probably not going to be coming. But if you are, hit me up, and I'll definitely buy some drinks at the race.
Can we get some DraftKings pricing? We'll be.
I'm going to see. I might just hook up my own little, get a list of the cars and put them together, and we can all play it. And then I can stream it from my phone. We can make it a whole event. I'm probably going to go to jail and get charged for doing something like that. But maybe I'll talk to the team over there at Estevan Motor Speedway and see if I can hook it up.
Yeah, looks like Liz is going to be at Texas in October. I think Eric mentioned he will be there as well. So. We got a couple people going to Texas. Maybe we should make a trip.
I'm so jealous of all of you. Very soon, next season. Oh, okay, that's not soon, but very, very soon I'll be going to another NASCAR race.
You go to Phoenix, or you went to Phoenix last year and a few different times before.
Yeah,
right?
Phoenix is that's what I call our home track. It's about 18 to 20 hours away, but by plane. No,
right.
If I was driving, it would be 18 to 24. But that's definitely my home track on the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely meetups. I love this, all this communication we've been having in chat and people meeting up at races and stuff and getting to meet each other. That's what our community is about, and I absolutely love it. It makes for a great conversation. Get to put a face to the name type thing. So I'm excited to go back to some races and even PGA events and hockey games and baseball games in the near future. When things start, maybe a little bit more getting back to normal in terms of sports and stuff like that, and super excited to meet all you guys. I kind of had that plan for 2021, even into last year, being down in Phoenix at that race. My plan for the season going forward that year was to do that, but COVID kind of ruined that. So we will be doing that in the future.
Canada, right?
Yes. So, lastly here, is there any bets that you're looking? I know Larson is the favorite, so you're kind of going to have to – I think if you're not betting Larson, I'll probably bet Larson maybe Sunday night baseball or, Sunday night football, or do like a 3-sport combo parlay if you're betting Larson. I just don't like that 280. You kind of got to bet a lot to really win much there. But, I mean, you can definitely do it. Yeah, but myself, if you're looking for some value here, Blaney at plus 1,200 and Kozlowski at plus 1,200 are the two that I would bet just for like value. If Larson doesn't win, I think those two are going to have a good chance and probably run top 5, top 10, and maybe have a chance to win the race too. Maybe Kozlowski might take a little bit more strategy, I think, to get it done, but that team loves strategy, so I could definitely see, and he's been good here. So those are my two value bets. Anything you got?
You're not going to like mine, but my bet other than Larson will be Chase. I see 8-1 on DraftKings Sportsbook, so that would be where I would go. But yeah, if you wanted to bet Larson, I was trying to look at some of these stage props, but he's plus 220 to win stage 1. I don't mind that at all.
No, not at all.
Starts out front. I know there's a competition caution, but if he's got the best car, he's got the best car at the end of the day. So plus 220, maybe you could cash early in the race. But yeah, you mentioned with the Sunday night football game, and I think both of us are on the same side in that late game is the +3 or whatever number you can get with the Packers, or you could go money line if you wanted to get ambitious. But I would lean if you wanted to pair Larson in a parlay with the Packers tonight.
Yeah, I can get plus 664 with Green Bay +3 and Larson winning. So, I mean, like $10 gets you a 76 return there. So I'm probably put $20 on that or something like that. I'm really considering just putting $50 on Larson. I just have that feeling he just absolutely dominates this race. I have him to win the whole entire playoffs. So he's been dominant. Everything leans to him. So that plus 280 is maybe not that bad. So the decision for me right now has just got a lot closer between betting Larson or betting both of Blaney and Kozlowski. So I'm going to have to think on that one here. What do we have left to lock? 33 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to have to think fast. Thinking on my feet here.
So Larson top 3 is plus 120. I can't. I mean, I can believe it's plus money, but that seems like a little. If you wanted to go a touch safer. You had mentioned top 5 earlier. I see that as minus 200, which is right on what you said it was. So,
nice.
I was trying to see. DraftKings has some race parlays, but I don't really like any of them. A lot of them have to do with this Chase and Harvick kind of feud, I guess. It's will both finish in the top 5. Will both finish outside the top 5. I don't know why they done that, but
they just want money. They just want people's money. That's the only reason.
Like all these have Harvick in them. Like no. This is an interesting one. Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch, and Denny Hamlin all to finish in the top 5 plus 650.
Oh, really? Yeah, I don't know.
Or you could get the whole, or not the whole, but 3 of the 4 Gibbs teammates, Kyle, Hamlin, and Truex, all to finish in the top 10 plus 210.
That's not bad. That's very interesting.
The worst bet of them all is Harvick and Briscoe to finish in the top 10.
Why?
Oh, that's brutal. That's like
so.
The
What's
worst.
the no? What's the no on that one? What's the odds on the
There
no?
is no. They just want the yes. It's yes.
Well, that's the yes.
Plus 700 for the yes.
Oh, that's bad. That should be like 1,500 or more.
Oh,
that's gross number. Yeah, don't like that. All right, so I think we'll wrap it up here. Unless anyone else has any more questions. I just locking in my PrizePicks plays, Larson and Kozlowski. I think I'm just going to go a 2-play power play here on those ones and just rock that. It's locked in, so that's what I'm going with. And then my bet, I think I am going to go a couple bets here. Locking in Larson with Green Bay +3, $10 on that, and then I'm going to go $25 on just Larson to win outright, all by himself. That's what I went on. It's all Larson, or I'm shutting off the TV tonight, Dane.
Same here.
Right on. Go Larson. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Make sure if you want to get access to the sheet and all of our picks, our Discord chat, as well as all of our members-only picks and stuff like that, get over to patreon.com/JagerBombs. $10 a month for the NASCAR package. We cover all 3 series. Or $20 a month gets you all of our sports, sheets, Discord, We have 4 coaches, and I think right now we're running, 12 or 13 sports. So get in there, and we'll see you in winning picks, everyone. Have a great night.
Good luck, everybody.